Ladies and gentlemen, RosterWatch Nation, welcome back to the epic RosterWatch Podcast, brought to you by RosterWatch.com. My name is Alex Dunlap, here with the Trashman, broadcasting here on the pod and on the YouTube and the Periscope streets. Trashman, what the hell's going on, brother?
I don't know, man. Dealing with either allergies or COVID, one of the two.
I think you're good, brother. I think you're good. You look perfectly healthy to me.
Well, the thing is, it affects, like, I don't know. I'm getting a test done anyways. Just, I think it might just be a mild case. I don't know.
You gonna get that thing shoved all the way up your nose? You trying to get a finger prick or what?
I mean, the nose one, I guess.
The brain swab.
I've had worse.
Yeah, it's probably smart to go. Probably smart to go get tested for it. You're a young, healthy man, though. I'm not particularly too worried about you at this point.
I want to go visit my mom in a couple of weeks. I just want to make
sure you're in the clear. Yeah, fair enough. Well, best of luck with that. Let me know how it goes. If you could speak after that. I swear they go up to your brain with that thing, brother.
Oh, you've had the test?
No. Fuck no.
Oh, okay.
But I've seen the test. I've heard about the test.
Right.
Okay, well, best of luck with that. I wanted to just go over a couple things today. We have the cheat sheet now updated to version 2.7 on the and hold on. Let me tell you one other thing first, Trash Man. You know that there's a blanket of Saharan dust sitting over us right now, right?
That's true.
It is.
Well, I think it was worse. It was last weekend or 2 weekends ago. I think. It was the worst.
But you've been here to my house, dude. I can see a ridge over to the other side of the goddamn lake. There's a long view from here, and their house is on the other side of the lake that I can normally see that I can't even still see right. Like that Saharan dust is still here. It isn't like that's just smog or something rolling out here into Spicewood, Texas. Like that is Saharan dust. Sitting over the lake.
All the Californians brought their smog.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, we're LA Junior.
Yeah, Jesus Christ! I sure hope not. I'm glad I'm the hell out of the city limits these days. But yeah, hey, don't sleep on that Saharan dust, man. That stuff when it first rolled in messed me up. I'm having to take
maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Yep. All right. Anyway, all right, 2.7 of the cheat sheet. Now there have been a couple changes on there. I wanted to maybe run mock draft simulations, maybe one from early in a 12-team PPR draft, and maybe somewhere in the middle, and then late, just to kind of give an idea of some of the players that we're getting. Trashman can give his thoughts about it, and if there are any players and positions that he's surprised that we are not getting more of, or maybe guys are getting too much of that he could be worried about. So that'll be good. I wanted to get Trashman's view on it. You guys have heard Byron basically every week on here giving his opinions about those things. I'm interested to hear some of Trashman's. But first, I wanted to really no news and notes, Trashman. I guess the one thing
out of 49ers camp.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurd. I thought it was interesting, man. Jalen Hurd. They're saying that he's going to play the big slot. And it's always hard with the 49ers to know who's going to line up where. These guys line up everywhere. But they say that Hurd – we forget, man. Jalen Hurd was such a good athlete during his time at Tennessee before he transferred to Baylor that, like, Alvin Kamara was running behind him, right? As a running back. He comes in before hurting his back.
A 6'4" running back.
Yeah, he his future was obviously always going to be at wide receiver, and we did get a glimpse at that whenever we saw him in the preseason, this last preseason, on a couple of the one play that I'll always retweet was that touchdown at the back of the end zone. Just an absolute beastly play for him, and yeah, man. He is, golly, man. I'm trying to get into PFF right now, and they're making me fucking click on all the things with traffic lights to make sure that I'm not a robot. But I wanted to pull up the slot participation from last year. But it seemed like for him, he was more of an outside presence, during the preseason before he got hurt. Putting him in the slot is really interesting to me it makes me feel like he could, be more like, because he's big, he is high BMI.
Yeah, it makes me wonder who's going to play their outside receiver position. It seems all the receivers are more primed to play the slot right now.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to get pulled up. Just I'm waiting on PFF here. So for San Francisco, let's look at the slot receiving last year. So we had
and Trent Taylor won't show up because he didn't play.
Yeah, so let's just go over it. Jordan Matthews 15.5% of the time, Richie James 46.9% of the time, Kendrick Bourne 52.7% of the time, Emmanuel Sanders 35.4% of the time. He won't show up either. So Emmanuel Sanders had 175 snaps out of the slot last year that's going to be unaccounted for. Marquise Goodwin had 35 snaps out of the slot that won't be accounted for. He was actually in the slot for 26% of his snaps. Dante Pettis was out of the slot 44% of the time last year.
You get a slot, and you get a slot, and everybody's getting a slot.
Deebo Samuel, 23.7% of his snaps out of the slot. So Deebo Samuel, actually one of the guys, we think about him as a dude that moved around and played a bunch in the slot. He was kind of didn't. He was more that stretch flanker Z kind of guy. Kendrick Bourne, I think that he's going to get his slot rate cut down significantly from 52.7%. Richie James Jr. with Trent Taylor coming back, it's like, how much room does he really have to grow in that role? Dante Pettis is the one who could be screwed here. 44% of the time.
Hey, maybe rightfully so.
Yeah. He is turning out to not be good. Right, turning out to not be good. Jalen Hurd, on the other hand, is good. It begs the question: so, do we start targeting him in redraft, or is he just a dynasty stash for now? With
Deebo Samuel, dynasty stash. Well, I mean, with Deebo Samuel being, I still feel like Brandon Aiyuk and Trent Taylor, and Kittle are really the only guys I'm looking to in fantasy right now.
We would have said
outside of dynasty.
We would have said before that maybe we got some of these running backs catching footballs. We talked about before, Tevin Coleman, actually a better pass catcher option than Raheem Mostert, who Raheem Mostert now has requested his agents requested a trade. I saw that. I saw that on Twitter last night. I said Raheem Mostert's agent is what?
I didn't know Raheem Mostert had an agent.
I thought I might have heard something about Raheem Mostert's agent requesting a trade.
I mean,
what the hell?
I can't say he doesn't deserve it, considering that Tevin Coleman is making quite a bit more money than him.
Well, so is Jerick McKinnon.
And Jerick McKinnon hasn't played has he played it down as a 49er?
I don't, not that I can remember.
No.
So I mean, what do you think? Is he going to get traded? Does this change your opinion about anything for fantasy?
I don't think he gets traded. It does make me consider the fact that they'll probably use more Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon if he's healthy. It won't be the Raheem Mostert show.
I just hate this for two guys like us that have been kind of off on Mostert from the very beginning. And Tevin Coleman's the guy that we've been getting in some of these mock drafts and some of these simulations. And I want it to stay that way, right? To have a shot at Tevin Coleman as my RB5. And if this kind of stuff continues, it's
more people are getting hip.
We got John Messina in the comment saying that it's Trent Taylor season because Wes Welker. I guess. I think it's Jalen Hurd season. Trash man, let's talk about some.
Hey, it could be both of their seasons if Deebo Samuel continues to have setbacks.
I love Deebo Samuel just tweeting the NFL and the NFLPA yesterday, just saying, "Man, I just want to play football. You guys get this shit figured out." These are the kind of voices that we need, Trash man. Okay, wanted to talk about some of these over-unders, and let's just go over them. I'm on mybookie.ag, just looking at some of the regular season props. Let's just start with some kind of – how about this one? Something a little bit interesting here, maybe a little bit off the off the radar. How about DeAndre Swift? Where would you put his over-under for regular season rushing yards? And I'll tell you what it is, but I'd like to hear your over-under first. Let me just give you, for some context. So last season, the Detroit Lions rushing, we had Kerryon Johnson played in 8 games. He rushed for 403 yards. Bo Scarborough was the starter for 6 games. He rushed for 377 yards. Then we also had Ty Johnson and J.D. McKissick mixing in, each of those guys for 273 and 205 total. Where would you peg the over-under for stud rookie DeAndre Swift this year?
This is just rushing yards, not all.
Just rushing. Yards. Just rushing.
650.
Yeah, I mean, Trashman, you were right on the money here. The over-under said it's 625, minus 120 juice on either side. It sounds like that's not anything that you would be absolutely dying to go and make the over bet on, though. I mean, 600 and I mean, what does that really get you for a guy that some people are having? Mainly it's people who are drafting 0 RB strategy who are getting him as their running back 2. But I mean, in PPR scoring, when we just look overall, DeAndre Swift right now going 60 overall, so he's going right at the 5-6 turn. That's generally going to be your RB2 or your maybe your RB3. And just what are you going to really do?
You have to factor in his PPR value there too. And I think he's going to be a lot more valuable in PPR leagues.
Really? Because it wasn't like he necessarily showed a whole ton compared to the rest of the class as far as his ability to catch. We've seen it in drills and stuff. I mean, I thought he was one of the better pass catching backs coming in. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd gone to the Chiefs. Let me just see though. So let's just see the fewest rushing yards you can even have to have, the fantasy points that are. So let's just see when you get down to. So basically, running back 8. Can you believe Devontae Freeman last year was running back 18? He had 656 rushing yards. Austin Eckler was running back 4 on the season with only 557 rushing yards, but DeAndre Swift's not going to get 108 targets and catch 92 footballs. that's not happening. DeAndre Swift isn't going to catch more footballs than Kenneth Golladay next season, I don't think, right?
I don't know if anybody is.
Let's see. James White was running back 19 last season with only 263 yards, but he also had 95 targets. I'm trying to find the first guy who
is this in full PPR leagues?
Yes, I'm talking full PPR. That's kind of where my head is. Latavius Murray, maybe at running back 29, had 637 yards rushing last season. He also had 43 targets and 34 receptions. I think that Latavius Murray 2019 in PPR is about what they're projecting DeAndre Swift. Basically, it's about how Vegas is projecting DeAndre Swift, and that is a middling running back 3. So it's probably about where you would take him. I don't think you could depend on him as your running back 2 in fantasy for these purposes this year. What about Jonathan Taylor? Do you think that they've projected him for around DeAndre Swift? Projected him for more? What do you think?
More. So
what's the guess?
800.
It's 750. Would you be bullish on the over there or on the under? Because actually there's heavier juice on the over. The over is minus 135 on mybookie.ag. The under is minus 105. So heavier juice on the over. That obviously means they're probably getting more action on the over on that bet.
I would. I mean, just instinctually.
That makes okay. So Marlon Mack last season had 1,091 rushing yards. It would obviously be needing to cut into a good amount of his rushing work. And if we just consider him maybe right there at the 750 to 800 range with just nominal Nominal pass catching ability. I mean, Ronald Jones last year was running back 25. He had 40 targets and caught 31 balls. I could see that. I could see something like that for Jonathan Taylor. Could you?
Yeah.
Who else? Le'Veon Bell rushed for 789, but he was given, and he finished his running back 16 overall in PPR, but he did get 78 targets. I think that's way too hefty a target share.
That's going to be high.
Well, yeah, I mean, because Marlon Mack last year only had 17 targets. So
what was interesting, though, I was doing some research, I think it was last week, and I was looking into why Marlon Mack wasn't used in the passing game as much, because he was in college. And it actually turns out like Pro Football Focus had him like ranked as like the 60th in pass protection. And so I think it's his pass protection or his inability to do so that kept him, and it has kept him out of the passing game. Because
I think Nyheim Hines had, what was I looking at him the other day? I think he had 58 targets. Don't quote me on, actually, shit, I should just look it up. Nyheim Hines, I'm here on a podcast trying to be professional. I'm telling you not to quote me on shit. Yeah, 58 targets. You could have quoted me. You could have quoted me.
That's very political.
Yeah. So 58 targets for Nyheim Hines. Do you think any of those transfer, or are you of the belief that Nyheim Hines could be like an Austin Eckler to Phillip Rivers there?
I think he stays in the mix.
Okay. Okay, let's talk about some of these other guys. Do you want to talk about DeAndre Hopkins? What do you think? DeAndre Hopkins, regular season receptions.
How many?
How many regular season receptions?
Is there
you want me to give you some context?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, I was hoping you could just tell me what you thought it was going to be, but let me just see here.
Okay. Let me.
I'll give you some context.
I'd say 100 and. I'd say 100 and 110.
Wow. So you are very, very, very bullish. The over-under on this thing, and it's 93 and a half. So maybe you can go pound. Maybe you can go pound the over there. I wanted to pull up, just like look at last season and see where these would have to be coming from here, because we have in the receiving category.
He had 104 last season.
Yeah. So
in 15 games.
There was not an Arizona Cardinal last season in the regular season that had more than 75 receptions. Larry Fitzgerald had 75. Christian Kirk had 68. After that, David Johnson had 36. Damiere Byrd had 32. Kenyon Drake had 28. Your boy Keyshawn Johnson had 21. After that, it's just there's the Dan Arnolds and the Andy Isabellas, Chase Edmonds of the world. Those guys aren't going to really factor in. Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk, the leading receivers last year, 75 and 68 catches respectively. They are pegging DeAndre Hopkins to come in there and completely just change the way that passing game structure is oriented, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah, I mean 110 maybe. That might be high. I might go down to 105.
Juarez, your problem is saying, talk about Tony Pollard. Well, thanks for asking so nicely, Juarez. Just telling us who to talk about. Or is he not worth looking at? Tony Pollard's worth looking at. Byron and I talked about it the other day. We need to be thinking about him as, if we didn't have the Dalvin Cook holdout possibility going on. I mean, he's as important a handcuff as Alexander Madison this season. If anything were to happen to Zeke, who knows? And, we know with Zeke, it's not even injury stuff. He could do something stupid off the field and get into trouble for a couple games.
Is it important to get him what's the context for that question? Well, he had 3 touchdowns last season, 455 rushing yards. 107 yard receiving. It's a pretty good receiving line.
He's a handcuff. Whenever they drafted CeeDee Lamb, whenever they drafted CeeDee Lamb, he became a handcuff. Before they drafted CeeDee Lamb, I said, dude, they're going to play Tony Pollard in the slot. They got rid of Randall Cobb. They're going to get Tony Pollard involved in the receiving game. Then they draft CeeDee Lamb. And you're just like, well, forget that. He's back to being a handcuff.
Tony Pollard's a handcuff, and he's one of the better handcuffs. But I mean, you know how I feel about rostering handcuffs for the most part. Yeah,
I mean, I know that Siege came on here the other day and said that he thought that he was taking like Miles Sanders ahead of Zeke and redrafting all this, and his reasoning was he thought Tony Pollard he had the talent to finally just take over some of that role from Zeke. And I was trying not to laugh. Siege, I'm just like, dude, that whether I know you love Tony Pollard, but you got to put your mind inside the head of the Cowboys organization. That's their star. They paid him a bunch of money. It's just really, I see that John Messina's tweeting here. What about using Pollard more during the regular season and saving?
It's a fantasy headache waiting to happen.
Look,
and here's whether you're going to play Pollard week in and week out in your flex. No.
And the other thing is ask the Los Angeles Rams 2019 how smart it is to hold out the stud running back that you just paid a bunch of money to for the end of the playoff run. And in the meantime, screw up your whole rushing attack in a way where you don't even make the goddamn playoffs. It's just it doesn't. And the next year you're having to trade away that guy because you're completely hamstrung by his goddamn contract. How about this? Calvin Ridley, the topic of a lot of discussion on fantasy football Twitter. 955.5 yards. Over or under, Trash Man? Last year, Ridley was at 866 yards, and we have all of the vacated yards from Mohamed Sanu and Austin Hooper. That seems like an over bet to me.
Yeah, an over. I like over.
Now Austin Hooper, that back, if we like Ridley that much, can we also really like Hayden Hurst that much? Because we all know that Julio's going to get his.
I think we can like Hayden Hurst in comparison to a lot of the tight ends that are available right now.
Fair enough. Demo 1130 saying, I'm keeping Drake in the 6th round and Gronk in the 15th. Did I already win my league? You got a great start there, brother. We've talked about on here that you know how I feel about Kenyon Drake. Yeah, you can make an argument for Kenyon Drake at 6 overall. So 6th round.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Team 30 saying he's a pro member for 4 years. The cheat sheets are magical. Thank you, sir. We can't, sir or madam. I guess I shouldn't be presumptuous there. We certainly appreciate it. We're going to be running some simulations as we continue to refine the cheat sheet. We're at version 2.7 right now, and getting some interesting players. We're getting one player in 100% of these mocks that I think I might have pushed up a little too high that I think Trashman is going to love seeing. So we'll talk about that in a little while. But I wanted to go to just some more of these over-unders.
Is it Denzel Mims?
No. It's somebody. It is somebody sneakier. How about this? How about Marquise Brown? Over-under on total receiving yards. The over-under is 849. Okay, so you're going under on that one. 849.5 was the total there for him last season. 584 total receiving yards. So they're expecting a huge, huge jump from him this season now that he's coming in healthy. The books are expecting a monster jump, almost between 35 and 40% jump in his total receiving yards. They draft another running back,
and you think they're going to throw the ball more this season?
And they draft Devin Duvernay, and Miles Boykin's going to be a year older. I think that there are ways you can argue for and you can argue against. There are ways you can argue for and ways you can argue against.
I think he'll be fun. I think he'll have some big games. I just don't know how consistent he'll be in this offense. Why would they move away from the kind of offense that they're running?
Well, because you constantly have to adapt in the NFL and shift, or else people are going to catch on to you. I mean, I
don't know.
but
I don't know who's. Nobody caught on to them for the entirety of last. You knew what they were going to do.
I get it. And people might be underestimating Duvernay. I mean, I've watched him for his whole career at Texas, dude. I mean, I've watched every snap he's played at Texas over and over. I have to watch every one of these games back, over and over. And so it's like getting to see what he was able to do once he moved into the slot during his senior year was incredible. It's just he had a bad Senior Bowl week.
I'm not touching any Ravens receivers outside of daily leagues.
I think Marquise Brown's a fine pick.
For what? For your wide receiver 3?
Yeah. At the same time that you're picking Will Fuller. When you get to Will Fuller territory, I think Marquise Brown should be considered, and Marquise Brown has a higher ADP.
I'm taking Fuller over Brown.
I think I am too, but I'm not sure that I have him on the sheet like that. Dima says the waiver wire podcasts are worth every penny. Thank you for that, sir. That's for our members over at Roster Watch during the season. Joey 2 times asked, for the first month of the season, do you guys like Jalen Reagor or Brandon Aiyuk? Let me show you a screen share of why I'm going to answer it like this, and I'll show one of our pro tools at RosterWatch.com. But for me, especially given the Deebo Samuel stuff, the fact that we're talking about rookies, the fact that Jalen Reagor was a rookie that we really liked, but we did not necessarily consider ready coming in.
He's going to start.
Yeah, he's gonna start, and also. I pulled up the wrong tool there. Let's see. Share screen and go to a tab here in Brave. Brave, just the go-to browser's trash, man. Are you finally on there yet? Or are you still digging around with the old school stuff? Okay, so here's
for me, real quick, I'll say that it really depends on Deebo Samuel and Alshon Jeffrey for me. Like, it depends on where they are when the season starts.
Look at Brandon Aiyuk's schedule. So of all these players here, we've matched them up against the corners that they're going to be projected to be facing in coverage for the plurality of their routes. This tool is available to our pro members at rosterwatch.com. I've thought a lot about this. I've thought a lot about which corners are likely to be on who. I've looked at alignment data. I've looked at size. I've looked at speed. I've looked at all of it. Of course, this isn't that's going to happen because guys are going to get hurt. Things will change through the course of the season. Maybe Brandon Aiyuk will start drawing tougher coverage than Deebo Samuel. Who knows? But at the very beginning of the season, he has an awesome start to the season. He gets Byron Murphy, he gets Austin Mallett, and he gets DeAndre Baker to start the first 3 weeks of the season. Those will be great initial matchups. So Brandon Aiyuk would certainly be the guy who I like better for the first month of the season, everything considering. Okay, Juarez, your problem is asking, what's the over-under on Aaron Rodgers? Let's see. That's a good question. Aaron Rodgers, regular season passing yards, 3,899.5. So that would be, if we looked at last season, let's see how it compares. So 2019 quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers had. It's so weird seeing Aaron Rodgers this far down the list.
He had 4,002 yards last season.
4,002. So they're projecting for less yardage this season than last.
Well, they want to run the ball more. I know that much. They want to become more running focused.
Well, I mean, from what they've done in the draft and in the offseason, Jesus, they added another running back. They added AJ.
That lines up for me then.
Shanahan was not lying whenever he said that. I was just like, man, did you finally see enough out of Aaron Jones last year to where you could finally just commit to that guy and go with him? And he said, actually, we're looking at a third guy. It's just, I mean, it is just, it's really
well.
They
certainly aren't focusing on the receiving core.
No. All right, let's get to some simulations here using version 2.7. of the cheat sheet. We said we were going to do it with picking from the beginning, one from the middle, one from the end. If you're still down with that, trash man, where do you think we should start here for this one?
Let's do it on the turn.
All right. Let me see if I can find see if I can, the mock draft simulator. Okay, so we'll start one at the turn. As you can see, we've been just doing a ton of these mocks. Looks like Byron was in here doing some mocks earlier too. All right, so this will be at the turn, the 12 turn PPR snake draft. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flex, 6 bench spots. I won't be drafting a kicker or a defense. We'll be drafting against the composite ADPs at ESPN, Fantrax, RT Sports, Fantasy Football Calculator, the composite best ball, and then also the pre-draft rankings at Yahoo, ESPN.com, NFL.com using version 2.7 of the PPR cheat sheet. Go ahead and start our draft now. An expert quality draft is, of course, guaranteed when using the cheat sheet, and we constantly have to test it like this to make sure it's still humming the way that we would like. So as we test it now, it looks like we'll get Kenyon Drake, and this looks like a possible Kenyon Drake, Austin Eckler start in this one, because we'll have what do you think, Kenyon? It looks like it's gonna be Kenyon Drake, DeAndre Hopkins, trash man. We sure aren't getting him very often here at the turn. How do you feel about that?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, let's just see how things go from here. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this thing shakes out. It looks like it's going to be kind of balanced here at the beginning. It looks like Odell Beckham and Le'Veon Bell here are going to be the next ones available to us, so we'll take those guys.
Hey, it's a pretty sick starting 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's staying balanced. Trash man, you were a little bit worried about Marquise Brown. It looks like we were getting real close to having to take him here, but AJ Green right ahead of him. You like AJ Green as your wide receiver 3 this year?
Hell yeah.
And then David Montgomery will be filling him in there as well. So, dude, this is staying very balanced. A wide receiver and a running back on each one of these turns. And the next one, we'll be able to pick up Darius Slayton and Keyshawn Vaughn. Of course, we got David Montgomery there on the last one. So our running backs looking pretty good. Actually, so let me look at the roster here. The running backs: Kenyon Drake, Le'Veon Bell, David Montgomery, now Keyshawn Vaughn as sort of an upside running back 4, along with Darius Slayton I see as a mega upside wide receiver 4. Looks like we're probably going to end up going pretty late round tight end here, which is usually the case. I hope we can get Hayden Hurst. I don't know why we've been getting John Brown in some of these simulations lately. I'm going to just make a note, examine John Brown, because I'm not sure that I have that much interest in him. Also, I'm getting less and less bullish on Alexander Mattison, so I'm also going to examine Alexander Mattison here. I'm not sure I want to be getting a ton of him. I moved Dalvin Cook up a little bit. I need to move down, or I moved up Dalvin Cook a little bit as I'm hearing more and more about how hard it's going to be for him to hold out. I might need to get Alexander Mattison down, but we'll go ahead and take him in this simulation regardless. We should be getting to tight ends here pretty soon. Yeah, we are. So we're going to end up getting Jared Cook at tight end.
Dalvin Cook, has Dalvin Cook played a full season? I don't think he has.
No, well, that's the thing. Even if he doesn't hold out, Alexander Mattison can certainly have value. I just traded away a second-round pick plus Brandon Cooks in my Dynasty League, where I'm a Dalvin Cook owner, for Alexander Mattison. That's how important he is to me as a handcuff. But I also like him for standalone value. Here we will take Jared Cook, and we will take Sammy Watkins. What do you think about Watkins, Trash Man? I just keep looking at him, and I continue having interest in Sammy Watkins because I want the cheapest part of that Chiefs offense I can get. And Sammy Watkins is still kind of Sammy Watkins. He had a couple big games for him last year. He gets targeted more often than Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get a piece of the Chiefs offense for cheap, I'm all for it.
Paris Campbell was the guy who I was talking about. We're getting a lot of these drafts. I moved him up.
Well, I love Paris Campbell.
Getting him right here at the very end. So we'll take Paris Campbell, and we'll take our quarterback with our 14th round pick, Matt Stafford, and our team will be finished here. This team is sick, Trash Man. Matthew Stafford as the quarterback. The running backs are Kenyon Drake, Le'Veon Bell, David Montgomery, Keyshawn Vaughn, Alexander Mattison. The wide receivers are DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham, AJ Green. This is a 12-team league. Darius Slayton, John Brown, Sammy Watkins, Paris Campbell. And Paris Campbell might be the pick that we're getting here in the 12th and 13th round now that I'm most excited about. The more and more I think about him in the slot, because that's where he's going to be, absolutely, with Phillip Rivers. He was one of the receivers I was most excited about last year before all the injuries happened. Yeah, so we'll just do one more of these mocks. Do you want to do it from the beginning, the middle? What do you want to do?
Let's do from the one spot then.
The one hole. So from the number of teams, 12, of course. From the one hole. So it'll be McCaffrey team drafting against everybody that we had talked about earlier. And we'll just go ahead and start this draft. We'll take McCaffrey to start. I mean, that team, Trash Man, from the 12 hole just now. I mean, my God, it's just a monster. And Kip C's right. Slayton always seems to be hanging around when he's been picking at the end. It's true.
I love Slayton.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't need this tutorial from Fantasy Pros. We will just go. You import our cheat sheet into there. All right. So Christian McCaffrey here. Let's see what happens at the turn. Looks like it'll be Josh Jacobs and Mike Evans at the 2-3 turn. That to me seems good, even though I'm getting I moved down Mike Evans and Chris Godwin each one slot, Trash Man, just because I'm becoming a little bit concerned about concerned about how high we have both of those guys ranked without moving Tom Brady up just a whole ton. You know, it's like
I don't think any Buccaneers receiver is going to have a better season than they did last year with Tom Brady. I don't see it happening. Jameis Winston, as inaccurate as he is, I mean, he aired the ball out a ton, and he's a cannon.
This is interesting. So looks like our start here was Christian McCaffrey and Josh Jacobs, Mike Evans. The cheat sheet now is going Devontae Parker and Tyler Lockett. Do you care to weigh in on the whole Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf deal?
I know people are really high on DK Metcalf going into this season.
Yeah. I think I like them both. I think that in a vacuum, it's a tough choice between them. That's why we have them ranked back to back. I do side a little bit with the veteran chemistry with Tyler Lockett and just a little bit more of the proven track record. But I do think
how far apart are their ADPs right now?
They're converging. I mean, we've said from the very beginning that those ADPs are going to converge. In PPR, let me just pull it up real quick, and I'll tell you the ADPs for these guys. Where's my okay? So,
I got
Metcalf.
it. Tyler Lockett is 23. Metcalf is 21 right now.
Metcalf has overtaken him.
Wow.
In PPR?
Yeah.
No, Metcalf is 23 in PPR. Lockett is 21 for the Fantasy Pros consensus. But that's what I go.
I'm looking at PPR and I'm looking at PPR and Fantasy Pros, and I'm getting the opposite. I don't know.
Okay, what says DK Metcalf, wide receiver 23, Tyler Lockett, wide receiver 21. I don't know why you and I are seeing it so much differently, but regardless, I'm going to go with what I see on my screen here. Let's see, but regardless, we're going to get Marquise Brown here in this draft, Trash Man. Sorry about it. We're also going to get another running back here with Kareem Hunt. I think that Marquise Brown is your wide receiver 4. Makes plenty of sense. As usual, we'll get Darius Slayton and Keyshawn Vaughn here at the 8-9 turn. Until those guys quit going so late, I think they're both going to be great values for us. This is turning out to be another really well-rounded draft. Look at this, Trash Man. Mike Williams, of all people. What the hell is he doing here? We don't ever get Mike Williams. You like him at all? For
good reason, no.
Do you like him at all with the Ty God? Yeah, that's no. I need to write down to examine Mike Williams as well. I really don't want to be getting him.
He was actually one of my do not draft receivers.
Getting Jared Cook again. Trash Man, look at it. We're getting your boy Paris Campbell.
Love it.
He's at a spot on the sheet where we'll just continue to get him, man. He's available at the 12th, 13th round turn.
Are we getting CeeDee Lamb at all? I noticed CeeDee Lamb in a couple of those last few turns.
Yeah. We're getting CeeDee Lamb still. Yeah, we're still getting CeeDee Lamb. And now here at the very end, we could take a little bit of liberty. Would you want to get Cam Newton as your backup quarterback, or would you just want to take Denzel Mims? Two of your favorites.
That's hard. Let's go with Mims.
But Trash Man, by the end of this season, who finishes with more receiving yards? Rashad Perriman or Denzel Mims?
Denzel Mims in my book.
100%, right? There's no way he can't. All right. Cool. Well, we can end it there, man. That's a good pod. Thanks to everybody who tuned in. Kip C, Joey 2 times 4 is your problem. Demo 1130, John Messina, Timmy Thorne. If I missed any of you guys, I'm sorry, man. We appreciate y'all watching. If you could please give this thing a thumbs up in YouTube, leave any comments or anything. And also, if you're just watching on YouTube, you can find all of our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever it is you listen. Just search for search for Roster Watch and whatever your podcast player is. So go get the cheat sheet. Go get a pro membership at rosterwatch.com. Help me and Trashman pay our bills during this goddamn pandemic. For the Trashman, I am Alex. Love you guys, man. We will talk to you soon.